My name is Yas, and this is my very first collective reading. Welcome. I'll be doing an oracle reading for the month of September 2024. And if you are new to oracle cards, let me just take a moment to explain what they are. These are the cards that I'm using for the reading. It is The Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. And oracle cards are a divination tool. They are a tool to reflect and to deepen your connection with your higher self, a higher power, that which you feel called to believe in and what you refer to. So it's not anything specific, it's what you believe in. You may refer to it as God, the universe, spirit, the divine, energy, love. There's so many different names that we use for it, but essentially it comes down to the same thing. And these cards have messages on them. Depending on the theme of the deck, each card will have a different message. And they usually have a picture on them with a unique message. And when you shuffle the deck and you draw a card, you ask a question for guidance and you draw a card. The oracle cards work as a mirror. It reflects back to you what is going on within you at that time in your life. So based on your energy, it will reflect to you what it is that you need to know. For example, if you are holding a lot of stress and fear, if you shuffle the deck and draw a card, it will likely say to you in some way that you are holding on to a lot of fear. It's time to look at that. It's time to release that. Or if you're the complete opposite, if you are just in a complete state of trust and flow and peace, then the card that you draw will likely reflect to you that you are in a complete open and receptive state and likely to draw in more experiences that will allow you to continue to feel that way. So, how I use the cards to do a reading is I inspect where we are right now in our lives based on our energy, and I use that information to uncover how can we bring more healing into our lives and how can we invite more abundance. Yes, these cards can be used to predict future outcomes. It is commonly used for that purpose, and I have dabbled in it. The results were interesting, sort of accurate. Like, I mean, we don't really know for certain what the future holds. I prefer not to use the cards to predict future outcomes. It's just a personal preference. When I've used the cards to like predict what will happen in the future, what I found was that I often fixated on that future outcome and totally forgot where I was, like right here and now. And I wasn't actually enjoying where I was in my life and appreciating all that I had and the person that I had grown into. I was always like chasing that future outcome. And when you're always focused on that future outcome and you're always chasing it, you unconsciously put yourself in a state of lack. What you're saying to yourself is where you are in your life is not enough, and who you are is not enough. And although we don't intend to do that, of course, nobody intends to believe that they are not enough. That is just the energy that comes up when you're always focused on chasing that future outcome. So it's because of that, I prefer to not focus on the future, to focus on where we are now and how can we use that information to improve the quality of our life right now. And when we do that, we raise our energy and we attract those amazing experiences that we're looking for instead of having to like fixate on it. We just bring it towards us. Now, I have already drawn the cards for this reading. It's my process where I do this off camera. I go into a meditation to focus on my intention for the reading. I then ask my questions, I draw the cards, and then I go into a writing practice on my laptop. I prefer to type, where I allow the messages that I feel needs to come through. And then I get onto camera and I share the messages with you. So I won't be shuffling and drawing cards right now. It's already been done. I'll just be showing you the cards that have been drawn. And the questions for this reading, there are three of them. The first one is, what is the theme for this month? The second is, what is it that requires healing or requires attention in our lives for this month? And the third question is, how can we invite more abundance into our lives? Okay, so let's get into the reading. We're first looking at what is the theme for this month. And the card that I drew is round and round. It's not too clear on the camera, but what this card is all about is cycles, patterns, situations repeating itself in our lives over and over. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, where you have this thing, this like theme in your life that just keeps coming back again and again. And it could be over a period of years, it could be with the same person or people, or you could find that pattern is repeated in different people in different stages of your life. I have absolutely seen that in my life. And when I drew this card, actually, when I drew all the cards for this reading, they all were drawn reversed, meaning they were drawn upside down. And it's not a bad thing when it's drawn upside down. It just means that the message is interpreted a bit differently. So the message for the reversed card is we're being invited to take responsibility for how we show up in these situations that keep repeating itself and resulting in outcomes that we're just not happy with. So ask yourself, do you perhaps need to adopt a new perspective? Do you maybe need to try something different, like take different steps, try different actions? If we want to see a different result, we have to we have to make a change to see change. Okay? And if you have been working through these repeating cycles and you're wondering like, why is it still coming up? It doesn't necessarily mean that you haven't grown from it and that you haven't overcome it. For some reason, these cycles are just meant to show up in our lives. I believe that it is a soul lesson. It's what we came here to learn and to grow through in our lifetime. So you may have like done a significant amount of work to get through these repeating cycles, but they just keep coming back. And the invitation here is to look at how far have you come with all that you've gone through? How have you grown? What is it that you have done differently that has worked really well? What can you take with you on your journey and continue to do, and how can you respond in a way that works well for you? Next, we're looking at what is it that requires healing or what needs attention in our lives. Two cards were drawn for this question, and the first is Imagine. Now, this card is all about manifestation, creation, bringing your ideas out into the physical world, acknowledging that you are a creator of the life that you experience. And this card being drawn in reverse, the message here is to look at how it is that you are creating the life that you're living. Are you doing it from a place of trust, or are you doing it from a place of fear? And it can happen unconsciously where we sabotage the life that we actually want to create for ourselves by being so afraid, by being so stressed and worried about everything that we don't know, or by all the things that we think are not going to go according to plan, or things just not working out. Now, this really happens unconsciously. Like, nobody wakes up and says to themselves, I want to ruin my life. But we do it without realizing it by going into fear, going into worry, not trusting that things will work out in the best way possible for ourselves and for every other person involved. We fixate on how we think things should be, and when it doesn't happen, or if we're just that type of person to create the worst case scenarios, we create this energy of fear and chaos. And being in that energy draws more experiences that causes us to feel that fear and that stress and that chaos. So the invitation with this card, it's asking us to pay attention to how we are showing up for ourselves. How are we creating the life that we want to live? Are we doing it from a place of trust or from a place of fear? And if fear is something that you may be realizing that is holding you back, you are not doing anything wrong. Like, it is completely normal to respond in that way. It's a human thing to respond in that way. It's something that I did for decades before I started paying attention to it. So just start paying attention to it. It won't come naturally. So you have to be willing to set time aside to reflect on how are you showing up in your life, and are you stressing too much? Are you worrying too much? Dedicate just a few minutes to reflect on this. It could be daily, it could be once a week. I mean, once a month is not bad at all. It's something. And the more you practice it, the more the more easy it is for you to notice it sooner. So when you go into that state of worry and stress and fear, you start noticing it in the moment rather than when you take time out to reflect on it. And then when you're in that moment, you can then choose to respond differently. So try not to assume the worst. I know that life can be so unpredictable. There's so many uncertainties that it's quite easy to just foresee that things are not going to work out. But if you can just like start practicing to believe that whatever does happen, it will be for the best. It will be for everyone's benefit, no matter what it looks like. You'll start to see that things show up differently in your life. Things start to play out in a more favorable way. People will start to change the way that they interact with you simply by changing the way that you look at it. It doesn't have to be like such serious work. You can actually have fun with this process by imagining what you would like that outcome to look like going into detail of what exactly you can see, what colors are there, what can you smell, how does it make you feel? But at the same time, allowing whatever comes and to receive that. So, although you may have this picture in your mind of what it is that you want, what does arrive will be what is best for you. It may not be exactly what you want, it may be something totally different, so not what you expected, but it will still be exactly what you need. It will be for your own good and everyone else's. Have fun with it. Like, don't be so serious all the time. Have fun with it. Be at ease, be fun, be silly. Because when you're in that joyful, cheerful state, it brings in more experiences that allows you to feel that way. The second card that was drawn is breathe. Just breathe. And what this card is all about is to allow things to unfold in the way that it is, like to not be trying to rush things to happen. Have patience, trust that things will work out. It may not be exactly what you want, but it will work out. And take the time to slow down and enjoy the process of this life that you're building for yourself and being on the journey of growing yourself and creating the life that you want, just slow down, go inward, breathe, be in the moment. And whatever needs to happen will happen. Whatever is meant for you will not miss you. And this card being drawn reversed, what it's asking us to do is to try to get out of the mind. There's way too much going on in the head. Okay, we think too much and we tend to rely on our thought and on logic to make things happen. But when we are so fixated on our mind, we miss the wisdom and the guidance that is always here. It's always been there. It's something that exists within all of us. But this will only come through when you slow down, when you quieten down, when you breathe and really take in that moment as you're breathing in and as you're breathing out. When you're in that slowness, that spaciousness, that is when the wisdom and the inspiration comes through. So consider, are you too much in your mind? Do you fixate on your thoughts and feel like you always have to have an answer? You always have to know what needs to be done next? This is your invitation to slow down, breathe, and let the answers come to you. And they arrive in such incredible ways. They could arrive in an idea that pops into your mind. They could arrive in a conversation with someone. This person will be speaking to you and they won't even know it, but the words that they say, it will be the answer that you are needing. Like, be willing to see signs and answers in just about anything in your life when you slow down. And if it's too tough to slow down in that way, then just get moving. Like, go outside for a walk. Maybe do some exercise. It doesn't have to be super intense exercise. It can just be like stretches or yoga, anything that puts your attention on what it is that you're doing and where you are in the moment and takes a break from all the thoughts that are happening in here. Okay, the last question. What is it that we can do to invite more abundance into our lives? And three cards were drawn for this question. The first card that was drawn is co-create. And this card is all about our our collaborative relationship with the higher power. So as much as we are the creators of our lives, we're not at this alone. We are in a partnership with that higher power. But it's something that we tend to forget more often than not. We always think we all we have are ourselves. We have to do this on our own. We can't trust anybody. Like, if you want to make things happen, if you want to do things right, you have to do it yourself, right? That's the belief that we tend to hold. But if we can remember that, hey, we are actually divinely guided and supported by that higher power, then we can relax a bit. We don't have to work hard. We can work with that higher power to bring in the experiences that we want to have. And this card coming up in reverse is telling us that we may be thinking that it's all on us. Like, we're forgetting that we're not alone. We don't have to do this on our own. We may be causing more stress, anxiety, and overwhelm for ourselves by placing all of these expectations on ourselves and not really making the progress that we wish to make because we put so much pressure on ourselves. So, the invitation here is to not try so hard. Like, you don't have to do this alone. Ask for guidance. The things that you don't know, the things that are out of your control, give it over to that higher power and ask for guidance, ask for assistance. And like I mentioned, the guidance, the inspiration will show up in unexpected ways from unexpected people in unexpected places. And sometimes things will just turn out to be so far from what you imagined, but trust that it's being done for your best interest. I really do believe that the universe will give us better than what we think we want. And it's not going to be anything like what we thought it was going to be, but it always turns out to be better. So welcome in these new experiences and new ways of living your life. The second card that was drawn is deep knowing. And this card is all about your intuition, that that knowing, that gut feeling that you have that you can't really explain, like at least not logically. Now, I'm not talking about that human instinct that comes forward when a lion is running towards you. Like that is fear and you protecting yourself in the moment. That is a survival thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the moments in your life where you're not being chased by a lion, where your life is not at risk, but you just have these feelings. You just know something. Like you just know that something is not, it's not feeling right, it's not feeling good. Or you may just know that something is for you. You don't have evidence, you can't explain why, but you just know that this is for you. That is what I'm talking about. This card coming in reversed is asking us to consider, are we actually listening to our intuition, to our inner wisdom? It is likely that we are ignoring it because maybe we don't trust it. We don't trust ourselves, or maybe we're too afraid. We're creating those chaotic scenarios, those worst case scenarios, because we don't know how things are going to play out if we do something differently. So what this card is asking us to do is to trust more, to listen, to really listen to what it is that our inner voice, our inner wisdom is saying to us and guiding us to do. And I understand that it can be really scary to act on these feelings that you have when you don't really have much evidence of it, like being successful, it working out for you. I do understand that. I have been there. I am there right now. And I know that it can be extremely terrifying, almost like you're frozen. You just can't do anything. You would rather repeat the things that make you unhappy rather than make a change based on this feeling that you have. But the invitation here is to just open yourself up to it. So if it is too scary for you to take a bold step, do what you can. So even just thinking about taking that step, that is still you taking a step. The fact that you're entertaining doing something differently based on that inner knowing that you have, that is still an action that is in alignment with what your body knows is right for you. And if you're still too afraid to take that step, surrender it, ask for guidance. It will come to you from surprising sources, from unexpected places. Some self care might also be needed at this time. Set some boundaries if you feel like you are saying yes when you really want to be saying no. Practice saying no. Make up stories if you have to. Just do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself and to protect yourself from anything that may be draining you of your energy right now. The last card is soulmates. Now, this is not necessarily a romantic card. It could be referring to a romantic relationship, but it is referring to relationships. So this could be a relationship that you have with a family member, a friend, a work colleague. And this card coming up in reverse is saying to us that there may be a relationship that is being highlighted in your life right now. It could be a relationship that is in your life long term. So, like a family member or a romantic partner, someone who's not really going anywhere, but they are challenging you in some way. Or it could be a relationship that is not meant to last for a long time. It is challenging you and is asking you to respond to it differently. What is happening in this relationship is this person is acting like a mirror. They are reflecting lessons to you that you really need to learn at this time. And those lessons may not be so comfortable to face and to work through, but it's what is being called for at this time. So, whatever it is, however difficult the situation is, try not to look at it as something bad or negative that's happening because I really don't believe that that is the case. I strongly believe that the relationships that we have are for a very specific reason. They come into our lives to teach us something, something for us to grow together, not just for ourselves, but the other person as well. So, whatever is coming up in this relationship that may be highlighted in your life right now, consider it a lesson that needs to be learned and also look at it as a gift. It's an opportunity for you and this other person to learn something new, to adapt and to grow together. Or it could be separately, like I mentioned, some relationships may not be here to last forever, but there's always something to gain from it, even if it is just a lesson. That's the reading for this month. I would love to know if this resonates with you. Please do let me know in the comments. Maybe wait for some time, let a few days or weeks pass, and then come back and let me know if any of this did actually happen. I'd love to know. Thank you so much for joining me in this reading, and have an amazing September. I will see you soon.